Hey guys, so today's contract is fairly simple. Path of Blaze is the daily contract. These are what we're going to go with our 8. Because we're not using last line of defense, we can basically buff these Tombkeeper Grotesques and not have to worry. There's only 2, so sweet as, we can let them go through, we can let them leak. And the Evocator safety is not too bad. The last one is really the only bad one. So we're going to be going in with Myrtle, Courier, and Beanstalk as our vanguards. Now, the higher your Courier's skill 1 is leveled up, the better off you're going to be. You absolutely don't need to do what I'm doing, so I really want to stress that ahead of time. But keep that in mind that if you have Courier with at least skill 2, Mastery 2, you'll be in a pretty safe spot. Gavial and Perfumer as our healers. Now look, I really prefer Gavial just because of this heal over time. I find that she tends to keep on top of healing a little bit better than, say, Suzerain. I'm not, and definitely Mer. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use Suzerain. You absolutely can. Especially, you can probably also get away with Pure Stream if you have her, because her modules just... When you equip her module, Pure Stream turns into a beast of a 4-star, but that's personal preference. So use whatever single target healer you want, but Perfumer is probably the way to go no matter what you're doing otherwise. Acid Drop, now you can chop and change Acid Drop. I'm not going to tell you need to use Acid Drop. You can absolutely use Pinecone. So use one of those two. Doesn't really matter which one. I mean, again, it's down to personal preference. I personally find that Acid Drop's skill cycle is very slow, whereas Pinecone's skill 1 is amazing. So it's really up to personal preference what you prefer. If you're going on a higher tier unit, Schwarz, Posse, El Province, they're all excellent options, so absolutely use them. But then again, I suppose you're probably going to be looking at Chen if you do that, aren't you? A caster, so I'm just using Armia. I don't really believe it matters which skill you use here. Again, this is down to personal preference. Shirayuki, I do like using Shirayuki skill 2. It has an arts on it. You're going to find out that a lot of this stuff is boosted up with defense and not so much arts. I mean, there is one that has an arts buff. But it doesn't... Usually the defense is stacked, and I mean, it does have a slow. So personally, I think that's a little bit better here, but... honestly, if you really want to go something higher, you can. Podenko, skill 2, so skill 2 is a good way to slow a batch of units, so that's why I suggest using skill Podenko. Not so much because she's a slower, just because she has a nice little skill that just clusters a whole lot of enemies together. Ethan with skill 2, now this is just to trigger the talent. And Vermeil with skill 2 as well, just to shoot 2 targets. Same thing as I always tell you guys, if you got blue poison, use her, she'll never do you wrong. We also have 1 free slot where you can bring, whoever the hell you want, really. As long as you've got this core squad in, you can use whoever you want. I don't know. Let's grab a posse. Anyway, if this helps you out, guys, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me get in the algorithm, and I absolutely appreciate all the support. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Myrtle up the back here. And as soon as we can, we're going to deploy Courier, just here. Myrtle skill. Beanstalk here, facing forward. Pop her crab there, so it's out of the way. Perfumer here. Perfumer has the map-wide heal talent, so obviously putting her down nice and early, very good thing. 1. Podenko. It doesn't really matter which direction this thing goes, as long as it doesn't go in the direction of any of our operators. So it will probably go up, I would say, just because, yeah, just because Beanstalk has a faster attack rate. Alright. The only real concern I've ever had with placement is with Armia. It really doesn't matter which way you face her. I find that either way it tends to be a problem. So you can face Armia whichever way you prefer. So let's throw this. You'll see this fireball. We're going to let this first fireball hit. So pop. That was the skill. So once that fireball's coming in, that skill of Courier's is about the time we say enough's enough. From here, the fireballs will go to our exit point and just leave, so we don't need to worry about Myrtle. So, cycle Myrtle's skill. That will be Myrtle's last cycle. So, Myrtle out, Beanstalk out, Shiryuki in, Ethan in, facing up. So, make the most of Ethan's area. I bought the posse just because there's no real reason I bought the posse, so don't mind her. We aren't using her. Now, ideally, I suppose I would probably be using Posse over, say, Podenko, I guess, facing her down so she can shoot down through there. So, these two are our bad enemies. So, let's cycle Ethan's skill to make sure we get the most out of him. So, you'll notice that pretty much Gavial, especially with Gavial's heal over time, she tends to keep our operators up a lot. So let's cycle some skills. Perfect. Another skill. So that's going to start locking everything up. I'm going to use Armia's skill and Vermeil's skill. Pop. So as I said, these enemies here, we don't care about these enemies. These are the Grotesques, I believe they're called. We don't need to worry about them. They're not a concern for us. At this point in time, we're cycling Pinecone's skill as constantly as we can, cycle Ethan's skill as often as we can. At this point, it's important to know that if we knock these Grotesques out, we knock them out. If they leak, they leak. It's not important. I want to really stress that for you new guys. You have 2 free points to play with. Don't stress if they leak. You don't need to worry about it. So again, we're going to start trying to slow things down. Get rid of as many of these enemies as we can. 2, 3. So Ethan's about good to go. Ethan's skill. I'm going to wait until this guy steps in because I really want to make sure, yep, that's good enough. I just want to make sure I get as much damage on him as possible. Now, I'm using Perfumer's skill. You'll see that none of these operators are really taking damage. I mean, Shiryuki got hit by I don't know what. Not important. The point is that by using her skill, it increases the heal over time to everyone else. And that's what's really important here. We want to make the most of our heal over times. So I've managed to get rid of both of these enemies this time. Sweet as. If you don't stress. Keep cycling those skills because this last enemy is very tanky. So we want to basically lock him down as much as humanly possible. I believe he's now stuck on Ethan, which is not helpful. So yes, he is stuck on Ethan. So I'm going to take Ethan out because I don't want him stuck on Ethan. And Beanstalk just to keep the damage on him. So just be aware that that can happen. Sometimes if he gets pushed around by other enemies or pushed around by abilities, they can end up hitting your own operators like Ethan, like you guys were just seeing. So that's simple. Just yank out Ethan, redeploy Beanstalk, and you'll be sweet to go. Hope that helps out, guys.